Good morning, everyone, and welcome to One World Spiritual Center. I am your guest speaker and musician today. My name is Jennifer Ferren, and even though I can't see any faces right now because I don't have it on gallery view, I am saying hello and greeting everyone from all over who's going to be logging on live right now and who's going to be logging on maybe later on and scrolling through. So welcome today. We're so happy to have you with us. Today I'm going to be speaking about being ready and having all the confidence and connecting into our consciousness, which will give us confidence so that we can be ready and boldly go where we may have never gone before. So let's open up with some music. This is a song that I wrote a couple of years ago. Well, maybe it was just last year. It seems like 20 years. These past couple of years have gone by super slow and super weirdly. But right now we're going to give thanks to Spirit, and we're going to sing a song called Spirit Work Through Me. I am open, Spirit entering. I am open, Spirit work through me. Use my hands, use my feet, use my mind, all of me. I am open, Spirit work through me. I am open, Spirit entering. I am open, Spirit work through me. Use my hands, use my feet, use my mind, all of me. I am open, Spirit work through me. One last time. I am open, Spirit entering. I am open, Spirit work through me. Use my hands, use my feet, use my mind, all of me. I am open, Spirit work through me. I am open, Spirit work through me. I am open, Spirit work through me. That's pretty much the main point of the talk today, being open and allowing Spirit to guide us and to direct our every baby step. Let's open with a prayer. I was able to borrow this from Unity of Athens. It is their affirmation for June. So we're using it today at One World Spiritual Center. And let's breathe into it. Maybe close your eyes, put your coffee or your water or your tea down for just a moment. And just close your eyes, breathe into this sacred space, this sacred moment, and feel these words. Today I feel the power of God flowing through me, energizing and renewing all areas of my being. I use my imagination, the creative power of Spirit, to think about what I wish to see in my life. I envision a healthy, energetic body, relationships that are loving, fun, and harmonious, dreams coming true, successes in all of my endeavors, and lavish abundance. My imagination is fueled with divine energy and the power to bring my dreams into reality. No matter what is going on around me, I am able to imagine the gifts, the opportunities, the presence of God in every circumstance. I am grateful for the many rich blessings in my life, and I eagerly anticipate continued blessings in the days ahead. I choose to live my life as a loving, harmonious, delight-filled experience. I glow with the wisdom and love of God, and it glows back at me from every person, place, and thing. Thank you, God, and so it is. Isn't that nice? A nice, healthy word salad to open up the program with. So as I said, today we're talking about being ready. Being ready for whatever comes our way, being ready to step out of our comfort zones, being ready to come out of hibernation perhaps. And as always, I have a song for that. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to run. I'm ready to soar. I'm ready to fly. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to love. I'm ready to try. To all the fear that tries to conquer me, I will no longer be held down. 'Cause there is a new song rising up in me, leading me to my higher ground. And I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to run. I'm ready to jump. I'm ready to soar. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to love. I'm ready to take my turn. Looking straight ahead, no looking back. There are no more tears to cry. I am letting go of holding on as I spread my wings and take to the sky. Right now I'm ready. 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 I'm ready. Are you ready? 'Cause here we go. We're going to start the talk with a quote from one of my all-time favorite New Thought teachers, Myrtle Fillmore, who is the co-founder of Unity. She and her husband Charles and Emily Cady and so many phenomenal teachers from way back when have left us with so much wisdom. And so let's start with some words that were found in her personal papers. This is what she says to us. Give me, dear Lord, thy conscious support, and let me be filled with the love and the zeal that gives character and direction to the activities of my mind and body. She and Charles always loved that word zeal. That must have been a big word back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Dear Lord, give me thy conscious support and let me be filled with the love and the zeal that gives character and direction to the activities of my mind and body. What a phenomenal and power-filled prayer. So what is it we say in the game of hide and seek when we're done counting and everybody else is hiding and we're the counter? Some people say, ollie, ollie, all in free. I always say, ready or not, here I come. From a very early age, we easily accept that it's natural to step outside of our comfort zones. It's natural to explore and to try new things. We don't even think twice about it when we're little kids. It's healthy and invigorating to take a giant leap in a new direction, even if we don't know which steps to take. And as a child, we know that. But as we adult and get older and older and older, and we start processing and trying to analyze more and more as we mature, sometimes we forget that it's natural and it's invigorating and it's exciting to take a giant leap and to take a step forward. Sometimes baby steps. Baby steps are all it takes to get the ball rolling sometimes. Well, my husband and I were working on some tennis courts the other day, a few weeks ago now. I've done this talk a few times already, but we're going to talk about critical thinking right now and how that pertains to being ready to step off into something new, into something different. And so we're talking about critical thinking right now, the first point. And Eddie and I were working on this tennis court, a private residence over off of Northside Drive, one of those big, glorious, beautiful mansions. And there was a young family there, and the little girl who had been sick at the beginning of the week was out on the front driveway, and she was learning to ride her bicycle for the first time. And Eddie and I were kind of off to the side, and the driveway was kind of blocked by trees and things and sheds and things like that, but we could hear what was going on. And what we heard was, out on the tennis court, this blood-curdling scream from the little girl. And I started and I looked over at Eddie. I'm like, what's going on up there? Well, about 5 minutes later, here comes another excruciating scream. Well, I looked at Eddie and I said, boy, she must really be having a throwdown fit. What's going on up there? Well, about 15 minutes later and about 15 blood-curdling screams later, it finally stops. And the mommy comes down to the tennis court area to check in with us. And I looked at the mommy. I'm like, what have you been doing to your child up there on the driveway? Have you been torturing that child? And the mommy just laughed and she said, no, we're about to have a big party in a couple of days and a bunch of people are going to be coming over. So she wanted to learn how to ride her bicycle without the training wheels and show everybody that she's a big girl. And I said, well, good grief. She must have been pretty determined because she was screaming bloody murder every time. And the mom's like, oh, yeah, she fell a lot. She said, but the funny thing is, as soon as she got on the bike and went for a few feet, she put the bicycle calmly down. She went inside, grabbed a juice box, hopped on the couch, and turned on the cartoons. Isn't that hilarious? Like, her mind was just trying to play tricks on her and sabotage her and make her think, oh, no, you're never going to do this. You're never going to do this. But this little baby girl had a heart contract already. She had already signed a deal with her inner consciousness and said, I am learning to ride my bike today. And she didn't listen to that ego that was making her frustrated and making her scream and making her go nuts. Sometimes the ego will fight the fact that in our hearts we are ready to jump off and do something new, and it will try to take us down every step of the way. But from here on out, I'm so glad that I witnessed that little girl on her bicycle. If you could have only heard it, it was so visceral. And it was such a poignant lesson from such a tiny little girl that don't let your ego tear you down. Don't let your ego talk you out of doing something that in your heart you know you're ready to do. So what is it that we're ready to do? Maybe it's something that we are ready to let go of. Maybe we're ready to show up differently. Is there an artistic or a crafty project that maybe you've always wanted to try? Is there some type of education or training or classes that you could take that you've been thinking about, or accreditation? Are you ready to let go of a particular issue? Maybe after all this time, you're just simply ready to love and accept yourself exactly where you are right now. Whatever the case may be, it's all about taking those very first baby steps. And with unity and new thought, one of the 5 basic principles is the law of mind action. Prayer and thought is all well and good, but then we have to put those prayers and thoughts into action. And sometimes it's all about just taking baby steps, and all the while saying consistently to yourself, to your ego, and to spirit, simply saying, I allow divine guidance every step of the way. I allow divine guidance every step of the way. And when you say that and when you think it, and even if you're scribbling or you're journaling, just write that. Write it down. Reticular activating system. Sometimes when you write things down and then see it in writing, it helps trigger and helps you to take more action. It really makes the connection for you. I allow divine guidance every step of the way. And then you take those baby steps. steps we are taking, baby steps every day. Well, it may look like we get nowhere, but that's okay. Little steps lead to big ones as we learn and we grow. Baby steps make a difference, I know. Do we fight for injustice or sing a quiet song? Do we gain notoriety as we keeping on? Well, all those little baby steps are moving forward now. And every day we learn and play and reach the higher ground. Baby steps we are taking, baby steps every day. Well, it may look like we get nowhere, but that's okay. Little steps lead to big ones as we learn and we grow. Baby steps make a difference, I know. Baby steps make a difference, I know. Baby steps make a difference, I know. Baby steps. Stepping outside of where we just were and moving forward. Sometimes it's about stepping outside of our old stories, stepping out of who we thought we were, stepping outside of and stepping beyond, which is what metaphysics is about, stepping beyond the physical, going beyond the physical. Sometimes it's about creating new stories, creating new truths, learning new truths, and then putting them into manifestation. I used to tell the story back in the old days about how I attended 4 colleges my first year, and I'm still a freshman. And I don't know why I was so proud of that, but I knew back in the day I was not ready for college. And I had a parent that was really pushing for me to go. And in order for the college to be paid, that's what happened. I went ahead and went, although I knew in my heart that I wasn't ready. But I tried. I was like that little girl on the bicycle. The first college didn't quite work. I tried the second. By the third, I was paying for it myself. And by the fourth, I'm like, I had already scored a really good job and was making really good money and was already doing what made my heart sing, being a professional musician at that point. And so today is not necessarily about what we could have or should have done. It's about giving thanks for who we are right now while making choices that will promote positive growth and up-level our consciousness. So one of the big things I invite all of us to do today is leave those old stories behind. Leave those old tapes that have been rolling through your head and out of your mouth to other people. Leave them behind. That's not who you are anymore. If you make the choice. If you make the choice and if you're ready, leave them behind. It's about giving thanks for who we are right now while making choices that will promote positive growth and up-level our consciousness. Sometimes I like to read things twice because I just think they're pretty poignant. So in other words, if the mere thought of something makes your heart sing and fills you with all sorts of excited, good energy, by all means, follow that path. That's the path you want to follow. Sometimes, as I'll talk about towards the end of the talk, sometimes we start out thinking that we're ready for one thing, but remember, we're always saying, I allow divine guidance every step of the way. And then we take those baby steps and we start, and then maybe roadblocks come up or doors slam in our face, the windows aren't opening, whatever metaphor you want to use. Sometimes you start down a path that you really felt you were ready for, and you're saying all of the right mantras, and you're saying, I allow divine guidance. And sometimes roadblocks come up. Sometimes drama happens. Sometimes things happen. And then what do? We just take a different tack. We jibe this way, we tack this way, sailing aphorisms. And we just keep going because we're saying, Spirit, this or something better. That's another good one to always say too. Spirit, this or something better. I allow divine guidance every step of the way. And then the icing on the cake is this or something better. Because if roadblocks pop up and doors are not opening, then perhaps that's not the path for you. But don't give up trying. Don't give up. Just take a little turn. If there's a fork in the road, maybe go to the left or to the right. Whatever you do, always follow the energy of love, because wherever love leads, it will guide you to someplace healthy and fun and exciting. See yourself in the flow. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am, everywhere I go. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am today. Everybody sing. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am, everywhere I go. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am today. Sometimes I feel like a fool because I go and lose my cool. But when I'm mindful, I can see there is perfect energy. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am, everywhere I go. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am today. Everybody sing. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am, everywhere I go. I choose to be in the flow, right where I am today. Right where I am today. Right where I am today. So what is on your bucket list? What is it that you have been dreaming about? What have you been thinking about? What is something that will bring you healthy, good energy? I don't know if some of you realize, but at a certain age, I'm about to be 55 in September. At a certain age, I don't think it's at this age though, but at a certain age, national park passes are free. Also at a certain age, certain colleges and universities will let you sit in and go to classes for free. There's a million discounts out there no matter how old you are. Groupon, Facebook Marketplace, if you're ready for a new look for your house, if you're ready to do some renovation, if you're ready to do some new wardrobe, perhaps all it takes is just getting out there and exploring and looking. There's so much to do out there, and there's also a lot to do in here. And it's amazing how we can get stuck in our ruts. Maybe it's time to listen to that divine nudge and move out of our comfort zones. Perhaps all it takes is a little faith, a simple faith. Sometimes that's not so easy, huh? Though the road ahead may not be clear, the God that lives inside will always be right here. And I will follow wherever it leads. A simple faith is all I need. And I can conquer any fears when I let my own light shine. I can go for what I want when I remember I'm divine. So I will face what each tomorrow brings with a joyful heart that is ready now to sing. 'Cause I have ears to hear and loving eyes to see. A simple faith is all I need. A simple faith is all I need. Oh, a simple faith is all we need. Sometimes a simple faith is all I need. Critical thinking plays into being ready. Taking baby steps plays into being ready. Letting go of the old and making room for the new, that's a big part of being ready. Having faith, that's a huge part of being ready. Making that heart contract just like the baby girl on the bicycle did. And then another thing is to maybe change your perspective on something. This is the hint earlier in the talk when I was saying we're going to talk about how sometimes we have one dream, but then it leads to something that we may not have even thought about. And it's all about perspective. This is my final point of the talk. There was a woman speaking on the Moth Radio Hour on NPR about a month or so ago. And she was a scientist at NASA. And she was talking about how she and her team, apparently they have different teams and they all work on different projects and missions and then submit them for approval. And so she and her team were working. There's been some activity there. They've been checking out Saturn a lot apparently lately. And there's a particular moon on Saturn that had a lake or a river on it. Of course, it was all gas. It wasn't water necessarily. But she and her team were determined to make a vessel that could exist and float on top of this river that was going around this moon on Saturn. That was their mission. And so they worked, they scienced it out, they did all the testing, they dotted all their I's and they crossed all their T's, and they really thought that their mission was going to get picked. And she was the leader of this team. She had been chosen as the leader. And they all were really confident that they were going to win and that their mission was going to be picked for that following year. Well, sadly, she submitted everything, and like I said, she dotted all of her I's and she crossed all of her T's, and sadly, their mission did not get selected. Well, as the leader and as a scientist that is yearning for information at all times and wanting to know reasons, she started calling and she started emailing. And she asked all of the people that were on the committee to pick the missions, what exactly was the reason that she and her team's particular mission did not get picked. She asked about the science, she asked about the presentation, she asked very specific questions. She was not leaving any rock unturned because she wanted to be a better scientist, and she wanted to be able to go back to her team and give them an explanation. Well, she got all of her calls answered. Everyone was very generous with their time, and they connected with her and explained what was going on and why they didn't get picked. And so she felt at peace with it, and she relayed all of the information to her team, and she let it go. She's like, well, I'd always dreamed of being a captain of my own little ship on a moon around Saturn, but it wasn't to be. And so a few months later, after she had put it all behind her, she gets a call to come in for an interview. And she was just a lay scientist at NASA. She didn't have any huge position necessarily. She was one of thousands of scientists on staff at NASA. But after this project, a few months later, she got a phone call to come in for an interview. And so she went, and she didn't realize what the job was for. They just sat down and talked with her. It was a committee. And at the end of the meeting, all of a sudden, everyone unanimously voted and said to her before she even left, "You have the job." And she said, "Hey, that's awesome. What's the job?" It ends up she's now the chief scientist of NASA. That's the new job. She had no idea when she was going in that's what she was interviewing for. But all of the baby steps that she had taken beforehand, just showing up and doing her job every day, and then this recent mission that she thought was her goal, that she worked so hard on, and then she followed up to understand, all of that led her to this interview, which now has led her to be the chief scientist of NASA. And in her talk on the Moth Radio Hour, she said, I never would have imagined that would be my final destiny and that would be one of my dreams and goals. I was just happy to work with NASA and to go in and be able to explore and do science every day. And all of this to say that sometimes we have our minds set on one goal, and when we don't succeed, we feel like failures. But this NASA chief scientist said, often we have to fail in order to learn. So please, all of you, never let fear keep you from taking action. In closing, listen to these words of wisdom from Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, from his book Talks on Truth. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. Let this be your standard of achievement. Never lower it. Do not allow yourself to be belittled by the cry of sacrilege. I love that line. You can attain to everything that you can imagine. If you can imagine that all is possible for God, it is also all possible for you. So today and in the weeks and in the months ahead, perhaps boldly go where you've never been before. Take those steps and know that Spirit is there to guide you and support you every step of the way. Thank you all, and namaste. I'm going to hand it over to your trusty lead minister, Reverend Melanie.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was fabulous. I just love that talk. You know what resonated most with me on that was little baby steps. I remember that Buckminster Fuller, one of our best known polymaths, had an image, and the image he called trim tabs. And the way it works is if you're navigating a large ship and you want to turn the ship, you don't just turn the rudder and the ship, because the rudder will break because the ship is so big. And the analogy is our lives are so directed and they're heading in one direction. When you want to turn it, you turn little tiny tabs. They're called trim tabs. And they take some of the pressure off and you turn it bit by bit. And the pressure ultimately becomes to the point where you can turn that big rudder, but you start with the little ones. Little trim tabs. And he said, that's how we live our lives. Little baby steps. We don't make a big rudder change. We just do little incremental steps, and they make a huge difference.
Amen.
So thank you so much. That was absolutely fabulous. And I love the music. That's all your original music, isn't it? Yes, I think it is. You go. That was excellent. Thank you so much. So this is the time in our gathering when we have the opportunity to come together in prayer and in reflection. So let's just take a minute and do that. I realize that we are remote, but it doesn't matter because our energies still join. The wonderful thing about energy, about heart energy, is walls make absolutely no difference. We join our hearts wherever we are. So let's take a breath and bring our awareness to this moment, to this right now, to this gathering, to this sacred opportunity to simply lift up our light and our hearts together. So wherever you are, just let your awareness shift from your busy mind all the way down to your heart space and take a breath, feeling your heart open and soften and warm with gratitude and joy as we sit in this present moment, welcoming Spirit into our hearts, into our gathering, into our circle. We breathe, we sit, we just feel the energy shift. Mother, Father, God, we welcome the presence of Spirit in our lives. We are ready, we are open, we are willing. We are so grateful for this opportunity right now, for this gathering, for this beloved community, all souls watching or listening here, now, or later. A community of oneness, a community of loving intention, spreading the consciousness of peace and compassion and kindness throughout our world. Lifting up others, lifting up our beloved, walking together the path of peace. We are grateful. We commit to bringing our love and our gifts to this moment, to this time. There is a reason we all are here, and we step with joy into the opportunity to make the difference that only we can make. And so it is. And together we say, Amen. So I'd like to take a few minutes, and as I do every Sunday, just give each of us the opportunity to lay into the circle of our loving energy whatever concern is on our hearts, whether it is a beloved who is facing a challenge, whether we are facing a challenge, a circumstance that is coming up that contains a horizon over which perhaps we cannot see. I know we all have those challenges coming up in our lives. I have several right now, and I'm sure you do as well. So we hold each other in our hearts. We also widen the circle to include all beings, all our neighbors, whether we know them or not, whether they are here or whether they are thousands of miles away, because we know that we are one and all are our beloved. So let's take a moment for each one of us to express to Spirit what rests on our hearts, knowing that we are sustained and beloved. Creator God, we release to the great river all the concerns that rest on our hearts, our beloved, upcoming circumstances, upcoming challenges. We know that we do not walk this path alone. We know that all rest in the arms of Spirit, and we give thanks for this truth. And we widen the circle to include all beings, all our neighbors on this beautiful, vulnerable, and precious home we call Earth. May all be well. May all be lifted up. May all be free from fear. May we extend hands to lift up those who need our help. May we see all through the eyes of Spirit, knowing that we gaze upon the faces of God in whatever face we see. May we welcome the holy in every opportunity before us because it is there. May we see it and know it and welcome it. May all be free from violence and oppression and hunger and want. May we do all that we can to bring about the beloved community we know is possible. And so it is. And together we say, Amen. I'd like to close out our prayer time today with a prayer by Lama Surya Das. And it's a prayer for support, for love, for light. And I just wanted to share it with you today. So I invite you to listen. We who need help pray for the healing of our physical, emotional, and spiritual pains and difficulties. Source of blessings and power, heal us, empower us, and bless us. We realize we cannot do it alone, and we ask for blessings from all those who have the power to help, elevate, and heal. We ask for help from the sacred that is above us. We ask for the support of those around us, our friends, families, and communities. We pray for the wisdom to find ways to help ourselves. We ask for guidance to help us ease our way and heal our hearts. May we open ourselves to the mystery that is beyond us, the source from which we are never apart. May we be happy and whole. May energy pour through us for the benefit of one and all. May we dance and lift up our hands and our hearts in praise and rejoicing. And so it is. What a wonderful energy with which to move forward. May we be whole and healed, lifting up our hands and our hearts in praise and rejoicing. So this is our opportunity in our gathering to give our gifts and our tithes and our offerings in support of One World. And I got to tell you, I can't think of any better example of that than listening to Jennifer's talk. It is through your support and her wonderful music that we get to continue to bring you offerings as wonderful as hers. We are so grateful for your commitment, for your generosity, for your ongoing support of our programs and our efforts. We are so thankful for your gifts. We commit them to the continuing work of One World. We bless them, and we bless you for your continued support. Thank you so much. So let me tell you a little bit about what our kids are doing. I love talking about the kids. I get a text from Reverend Rebecca, and sometimes we chat on the phone every week. She's continuing to talk about the faculty of this month, which is imagination, which Jennifer also talked about. Okay, let's go there. She's continuing to talk about imagination. And this week, she is approaching it from a Buddhist perspective. And let me just share with you what she wrote. In Buddhism, as in other traditions, imaginal worlds, I love that, imaginal worlds, worlds deliberately accessed through the imagination, are primary sources for personal healing, inspiration, and insight, as well as for social, cultural, and political transformation. We reach inside to find those sources of inspiration and insight. And we are never disappointed if we listen. So many thanks to Reverend Rebecca and to our wonderful kids who make our kids program the success that it is. I'm so grateful for their commitment and wisdom and energy and creativity and joy that they bring every week. Thank you so much. So I do have some announcements. We are continuing our Community Circles book discussion. It is way fun. We are reading Marcus Borg's The God We Never Knew. Our next session is chapter 2. So please go ahead and read that. We'll be getting the handout in, but we are having some wonderful discussions. So many thanks to all those who are participating in that book discussion. Our morning meditation is resuming tomorrow. We did take a week off last week. Many thanks to the Meditation Sangha for that. I took a week off so that I could get my kids, Nick and Catherine, to camp. They had a fabulous time. I could spend an hour just telling you about it. But those who know Nick will not be surprised that he is now planning for camp next year. So talk about living life, singing and dancing and enjoy. He is my daily example. So anyway, thank you for that. We will resume our morning meditation Monday through Friday tomorrow. So I think that is it. If you have an announcement that you would like to share with the community, please let me know. We'll be back online next week. Please join us at 11 o'clock for that. We have a community meeting following this session, so please jump on the Zoom. If you need the link, please let me know. You can email at info@oneworldspiritualcenter.net, and you can jump on our community meeting to get any updates we have, and more importantly, for us to hear from you as to what is on your mind, what you would like to see, programs you would like to have, and things like that. So please join us for that. So again, many thanks to Jennifer Ferren this week for her fabulous talk and her wonderful music. We look forward to having you back. And for my closing prayer, I'd like to go to a Native American tradition for a short blessing and prayer called In a Sacred Manner. So I invite you to listen. Creator of all that exists, hear my prayer. As the new day dawns, let all people begin anew to walk the good road of life. May we forget our differences. May we remember our likenesses. Let us hear what we have not heard. Let us see what we have not seen. You are the spark of the universe, the oneness of all life. In such a way, may we be blessed, blessed in a sacred manner. I love that imagery. May we see anew, may we hear anew. It's like Jennifer said, may we shift our perspective. It just takes intention. So thank you so much for joining us. We have been blessed by your presence. Have a wonderful week, and please jump on the Zoom and join us for our community meeting. We are concluded. Thank you so much for joining us.